Give me 20 minutes of your time, and I'll give you a 7-step plan to viscerate visceral fat, the nasty fat around your organs. No calorie counting, no endless cardio, no willpower required. In fact, these 7 steps will be so easy and you'll see results in a matter of weeks. Let's start with the first step, and keep in mind, all 7 steps are tied together. So if you want the best results here, you got to follow the 7-step game plan. Here is step number 1. There are 11 healthy foods, at least a lot of people think they're healthy, that's actually causing inflammation, weight gain, and even visceral fat. I'm going to share those 11 foods with you and give you healthier swaps. These are foods that you want to swap them with that burn visceral fat. These 11 foods spike insulin, create inflammation in the gut, and lead to weight gain. Here is the list of the 11 healthy foods. This might be a little controversial, but let's start with the list here. We have whole wheat bread, oats and oatmeal, brown rice, corn and corn-based products, traditional soy products like tofu and soy milk, almonds, spinach, the nightshade family, which includes tomatoes and peppers and eggplant, lentils and legumes, and pasteurized cow dairy, and lastly, these heart-healthy cereals. Many of the foods I just listed contain these anti-nutrients called oxalates, lectins, and phytates, which cause leaky gut, which is inflammation in your gut, which doesn't allow you to digest food properly, and that food goes into your bloodstream and it creates an inflammatory response where your immune system is on overdrive. This eventually leads to chronic malabsorption, chronic inflammation, and visceral fat. Dr. William Davis, author of Wheat Belly, showed some research in his book that 2 slices of whole wheat bread will spike your blood sugar levels as much as a 12-ounce can of soda or even a Snickers bar. When you eat any of those 11 foods, it's going to create an inflammatory compound, we'll call it, in your body called LPS. LPS is an endotoxin, toxins within your body. In a 2022 study in Frontiers of Endocrinology confirmed that leaky gut and endotoxins like LPS are directly linked to belly fat, even in lean individuals. So what we want to do is remove those 11 foods, and here are the healthier swaps. Write these down. You want to consume arugula, bok choy, squash, and cauliflower. Those are great vegetables for fat loss. You also want to consume goat and sheep dairy as opposed to pasteurized cow dairy, or even organic, raw, grass-fed cow dairy is okay, but you want to stay away from the pasteurized cow dairy. Incorporate some coconut meat, coconut milk, macadamia nuts, macadamia nut milk, unsweetened of course, and even Brazil nuts. And then you want to consume grass-fed meat, wild-caught fish, organic eggs with the yolk, Mother Nature's multivitamin, great for the liver, great for fat loss. Consume an avocado a day or half an avocado a day, loaded with potassium, loaded with phytosterols, B vitamins, lowers inflammation, great for fat loss and insulin resistance. And even if you're really active, you could have small amounts of sweet potato timed around your exercise. That should be okay as well. Look, inflammation and insulin resistance are fat's best friends. It's your belly fat's best friend. So eliminate the triggers. I just showed you a list of 11 foods to remove. Replace them with the healthier swaps, and you'll start to see your waistline shrink day after day. We're just on step 1. Let's move on to step 2. These set of foods that I call frankenfoods will put the brakes on fat burning. It will lead to disease. It will lead to weight gain, weight loss resistance. They are very inflammatory, arguably worse than the 11 foods I just shared, and even worse than processed sugar and smoking cigarettes. So what are they? They're called seed oils. And of course, seed oils are becoming really popular, but I'm going to give you a list of the 8 seed oils you want to avoid, and a bonus one that nobody's talking about that is also causing inflammation. So these seed oils are processed with high heat, high temperature, oxygen, chemical agents. They're already rancid and inflammatory when they're bottled before you even buy them. And unfortunately, the corrupt propaganda American Heart Association puts their stamp of approval on them. But I got to tell you, they oxidize inside of your body. So what does that mean? That means when you bite into an apple and left that apple on the counter for a few hours, came back and looked at that apple, it turned brown. You see that with your avocado. You see that with your produce. It goes brown. It's oxidizing. When you consume these bad fats, they oxidize your cells. Not just your cells, but these little energy factories within your cells called the mitochondria that help you burn fat, especially visceral fat. Seed oils are mitochondrial poison. And they're so inflammatory that a study done by Dr. Martin Grutfeld, I put this study in my brand new book, Metabolic Freedom, showed that one French fry cooked in seed oils is equivalent to a tobacco cigarette smoked in terms of the aldehydes that are produced. Now that's pretty alarming because if you've never smoked a tobacco cigarette before, great job. But if you've eaten 10,000 French fries cooked in vegetable oil, you've essentially smoked 10,000 tobacco cigarettes. And when you consume these fats, Chapter 4 of Metabolic Freedom talks about this process called lipid membrane reorganization, meaning when you consume them, within a matter of hours, those fats embed into your fat cells, cell membranes, adipocytes, and mitochondrial membranes, and they don't leave for years. The half-life is 680 days. That means if you stopped eating them today, 2 years later, half of them will remain in your body, creating inflammation. It's like your buddy who said, hey, I'm going to stay at your house just for 2 days. I'm in transition here, and they end up staying for years. How annoying. It disrupts cellular signaling, blocks your fat burning hormones, and keeps you in a fat storage state where you accumulate a ton of visceral fat all the time and you feel tired and fatigued. A 2018 paper in Free Radical Biology and Medicine showed that seed oils increase lipid peroxidation, leading to mitochondrial dysfunction and visceral fat accumulation. So here's a list of the 8 fats you want to avoid or limit as much as possible with another fat that might shock you here. So here are the 8 fats. We have canola oil, called rapeseed oil in the UK, corn oil, cottonseed oil, soybean oil, safflower oil, and sunflower oil. Then we have rice bran oil and grapeseed oil. That's what Dr. Ǩate Shanahan calls the hateful 8. Do an audit. Make sure you don't consume those. Now, here's a surprising fat that's causing inflammation and weight gain and visceral fat. Fish oil. I know, fish oil is all the rage these days. Your favorite doctor praises fish oil. Your cardiologist recommended fish oil. But I got to tell you, just like those seed oils, fish oil is very unstable. A study done in New Zealand showed that 83% of all fish oil in New Zealand is rancid on the shelf before you even consume it. But let's say it's the highest quality fish oil in the world. Well, it goes rancid in your body when you consume it. Not to mention we are overdosing on fish oil. I am not a fan. If you want to burn visceral fat, ditch the fish oil. The fish oil is now a multi-billion-dollar industry and it causes more harm than it does good. Just eat the small fatty fish. That'll get you enough omega-3s and EPA and DHA. So avoid the seed oils, avoid the fish oil, and swap out those seed oils with saturated fats. These are the best fats to lower inflammation, which allows your fat burning hormones to get into your cells, which just gets rid of visceral fat. Viscerates visceral fat. That's a tough word to say. So these are going to be beef tallow, ghee, butter, coconut oil, and duck fat. And then we have monounsaturated fats, which are still pretty good. Better for salad dressings and dips and low temperature cooking. These are going to be avocado oil and olive oil. Make that switch. It goes a long way. Now, at restaurants, I show this card, I'm pulling it up for you, to the server, and it shows that I am allergic to seed oils. And I show it to the server. It shows the bad oils that I'm allergic to, the healthier swaps, and it prevents me from taking the hit. Get this for free over at seedoilcard.com. I'll put it in the notes as well. All right, let's move on to step number 3 in your protocol. Step number 3 is to trigger autophagy and practice these 2 different intermittent fasting schedules. They work really well when you combine them in terms of lowering insulin, inflammation, fixing the gut, and of course, melting a stubborn fat, the visceral fat around your organs. So when insulin is high, you're not going to access the visceral fat. You're actually going to accumulate more visceral fat. When we lower insulin, now we unlock a switch that taps into that visceral fat and it pulls fat from your organs, your liver, your kidneys, your heart. And fasting is one of the quickest, most effective ways to do this. Fasting also triggers a process called autophagy. And I talked about the bad oils, how it stays in your body for years. Well, the more autophagy you get, especially through fasting and strength training, the quicker you remove those bad oils faster. Super cool. So there are 2 schedules I want you to practice. I'm going to give you a 7-day protocol for fasting here that works really well for burning visceral fat. Tuesday through Saturday, you're going to follow an 18-6 intermittent fasting schedule. That means out of a 24-hour period, for 18 hours, you're fasting. No food, no snacking, just water. Then you have a 6-hour eating window where you have 2 to 3 meals, ideally low carbohydrate, keto-friendly meals, eating the foods I mentioned earlier, removing the inflammatory foods I also mentioned earlier. So that could look like 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. eating window, or even 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. eating window, fasting outside of that. You do that Tuesday through Saturday. On Sunday to Monday, you perform a 24-hour water fast. This gets you more autophagy, more fat loss, and of course, you're pulling more fat out of your organs. So this is how it works. Let's say you're done eating Sunday at 6 p.m. You would go to bed that night, continue on Monday until 6 p.m. You'll break the fast at that point, 24 hours into a fast. Again, this keeps insulin low, triggers autophagy, forces your body to burn visceral fat. In chapter 8 of Metabolic Freedom, I take a deep dive into fasting. And I referenced this study from the New England Journal of Medicine, 2019 study, where it reviewed dozens of human fasting trials, and it showed improvements in insulin resistance, reduced waist circumference, and longevity benefits. And here's a bonus tip. If you want to accelerate fat loss here, add in some moderate cardio during your fasting window, and that'll enhance fat loss. Step number 4, great news for my fellow coffee drinkers. There's a certain set of coffee, a specific coffee, that is an incredible tool for fat loss. You see, coffee, when done right, and I'll share you how to find the right source, is a very powerful metabolic weapon. I talk about this in chapter 11 of Metabolic Freedom. This specific coffee contains chlorogenic acid, CGA. CGA is a powerful polyphenol that lowers blood sugar, helps your liver detoxify and produce healthy levels of bile, which is the detergent for breaking down fat, increases fat oxidation, which means fat burning, and suppresses hunger. A Norwegian study showed that women who drank high CGA coffee lost twice as amount of weight as women who drank low CGA coffee. So here's the tip though, because it can't just be any coffee. If you go to Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, and just buy cheap coffee, you're actually going to create inflammation and not get these benefits. You want to look for a coffee bean that is organic, medium roasted, because once the beans are roasted beyond medium, like a dark roast, it loses about 75% of these fat blasting polyphenols. We don't want that. So medium roast, organic, and you want to make sure the company tests for contaminants like heavy metals, glyphosate, mycotoxins. Coffee is known to be one of the highest sprayed crops in the world with these pesticides and also mold. So have a company that tests for that. You want to drink your coffee black or maybe add some grass-fed butter, MCT oil. Those are some great ways to ramp up fat loss as well. And you don't want to add sugary creamers in there. Heavy cream is fine. Coconut milk or coconut oil or ghee is fine, but don't add any sugar or sweeteners to it. Now, the coffee that I use and recommend, I've been using them since 2019, is Purity Coffee. They are hands down the best when it comes to the best tasting, highest quality coffee beans. And if you go to ketocampcoffee.com and use the coupon code KetoCamp, you'll get 15% off your Purity Coffee beans. Let's move on to step number 5. Step number 5 is to find ways to boost nitric oxide for better blood flow and fat metabolism. So nitric oxide is a gaseous molecule that you produce, and it's responsible for many, many things. Cell signaling is one thing, vasodilation, which means your blood vessels open up and you could deliver blood flow, nutrients, and oxygen to tissues for healing much more efficiently. It supports mitochondrial health, which helps with fat loss and energy production. And unfortunately, most people are deficient in nitric oxide, especially those who have a ton of visceral fat. Here are the top 3 things that block nitric oxide, and then I'll give you the top things that boost it. The number one thing that wipes out nitric oxide, that increases blood pressure, increases risk of heart disease, and prevents you from burning visceral fat is your mouthwash, your antiseptic mouthwash. Listerine, Scope. It kills the bacteria in your mouth, good and bad, that is responsible for producing nitric oxide, which leads to erectile dysfunction in men, high blood pressure in men and women, and visceral fat and increased cardiovascular deaths. So throw out the toxic mouthwash. The second thing is constantly breathing through your mouth. Now, when you're speaking like I am right now, you're going to breathe through your mouth. But when you're not speaking, like when you're sleeping, it's important to breathe through your nose, especially during sleep. Because when you breathe through your nose, you produce more nitric oxide. When you breathe through your mouth, you deplete it. So every night I put a piece of tape over my mouth, which has forced me and trained my body to start breathing through my nose. I use a company called Somnifix. We have a coupon code with them. I'll drop that link down below. The third thing that blocks nitric oxide are PPIs, proton pump inhibitors, also called acid blockers. Tums and other ones out there are just being consumed like candy. And this is a problem. It increases blood pressure and depletes nitric oxide. So don't overdo it with the PPIs. Now, what will boost your nitric oxide and help you burn visceral fat? Eating high quality green leafy vegetables like arugula and a few of the others I mentioned earlier. I know beets are known to help with nitric oxide. I wouldn't recommend beets because they're loaded in oxalates and also loaded with sugar. But garlic and pomegranate, great. And then mouth taping at night, like I mentioned, great. Getting outside and moving your body, doing sprinting, resistance training, great for nitric oxide. Sauna, great for nitric oxide. Go check out some of my interviews with Dr. Nathan Bryan. He also has a brand new book on nitric oxide, this incredible molecule. So go check him out. Dr. Nathan Bryan, he's on the channel. He has shown a lot of research that just 1 week of using antiseptic mouthwash leads to reduced nitric oxide levels, elevated blood pressure, and impaired glucose metabolism. After just 1 week. All right, we got to move on to step number 6 here. Train your mitochondria with daily movement and hormesis. We want healthy mitochondria, which is going to produce more energy, which raises your basal metabolic rate and helps you burn more visceral fat. These are your body's fat burning engines, the mitochondria. So they respond to exercise, strength training, getting daily steps. Aim to get 10,000 steps a day and watch what it does for your waistline. Lift weights 2 to 3 times a week. Do sprinting or swimming or cycling once or twice a week. A study in Cell reports confirm that exercise increases mitochondrial biogenesis, which is the creation of new mitochondria, creating more fat-burning machinery inside of your cells. And you could stack exercise with sunlight or cold exposure to amplify this process called mitohormesis. Let's move on to step number 7. Deep sleep is your fat loss superpower. Chapter 6 of Metabolic Freedom is all about deep sleep for fat loss and metabolism. When you get poor sleep, you're going to have higher levels of cortisol. That's called cortisol belly, meaning more belly fat. It also raises your hunger hormone when you get poor sleep, and it lowers your fat-burning satiety hormone, ghrelin. So you're hungrier and less satisfied. Not good. Disrupted sleep increases insulin resistance. A study from the University of Chicago, I put this in my book, showed that people who slept 8.5 hours burned 400 more calories per day compared to those sleeping 6.5 hours or less. So keep your room cold and dark, mouth tape at night, stop eating at least 3 hours before bed, take a high quality magnesium supplement. I'll put my favorite one down below, and track your sleep with like an Oura Ring or an Apple Watch or a Whoop band to make sure you're getting 90 minutes of deep sleep. If you get 90 minutes of deep sleep, you will burn belly fat. A couple of resources for you before I answer your common questions. I mentioned my book, Metabolic Freedom, several times. This book is coming out in just a few days, and you could actually pre-order it right now, ideally on hardcover, ideally at Barnes & Noble, but any retailer. I'll give you an entire course on the metabolism for free with exclusive interviews when you go to metabolicfreedombook.com or scan the QR code. I also have a 30-day plan that I mapped out. It's an ebook that shows you how to melt visceral fat. It's even more detailed what I went over today. So if you want this put together in a protocol, step by step, you can download that for free over at targetbellyfat.com or scanning the QR code. We'll drop all those links and references in the notes down below. Let's get to your questions. Question number 1, how do I know if I have visceral fat? Well, the best way, the most accurate way is to get a scan done, an MRI scan done. That'll show you exactly how much visceral fat you have and where it's located. Go check out Dr. Sean O'Mara's work, and I've done podcasts with him. He's the visceral fat master, and you can just search his name on my YouTube channel to find some great interviews I did with him. A DEXA scan is pretty good as well. It gives you an idea, but the best way is an MRI. Check out Dr. Sean O'Mara on my channel. Can I do this if I'm over 50, menopausal, or have a thyroid issue? Yes, this will work for men, for women of all ages. It works really, really well. What should I eat during my eating window? Yeah, you want to consume insulin-friendly foods. So low carb, more protein, more fat, less carbohydrates. Ideally, keep your total carbohydrates under 100 grams per day, and even better if it's under 50 total grams per day. How do I taper off mouthwash safely without risking bad breath or dental problems? When you start eating real food, you won't have bad breath and dental problems. Just brush your teeth with a high-quality toothpaste and floss. There's no need for mouthwash. What if I can't fall asleep or wake up during the night? What's the fix? I have a lot of content on that. I would recommend getting my book, Metabolic Freedom, reading chapter 6. I take a deep dive. A couple things you can do right off the bat. Have a tablespoon or 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar diluted with water right before bed. It doesn't break a fast. That could help you digest your food better, manage your blood sugar so you're not waking up in the middle of the night feeling wired and tired. That's the protocol. Share this with somebody you know. Go get my new book, Metabolic Freedom, with the free course. Download the targetbellyfat.com PDF, and I'll put all those resources down below. Thank you. I appreciate you. I'll see you on the next one. And hey, if you love this lesson and you want to learn more about a protocol, a simple 14-day protocol to melt belly fat, check out the clip that I'm going to show you here. Click the video on the screen and check out that next video. I'll be sharing with you a simple 7-step protocol that you will follow, and in 14 days, you will melt stubborn fat. It works whether you are brand new to trying to lose weight, you've hit a plateau, you've tried all these different diets and calories in versus calories out approach. All of these 7 steps are linked to each other. You have to